Oh, y'all, this is so exciting. We have Kira with us today. I'll have her do a little better introduction of herself, but she is our naturopathic doctor and functional nutritionist. She's my personal hero, has helped me so much in my healing journey. And just, I say, she just is full of nuggets of wisdom. And she just knows so much about wellness. She works deeply in the field. She works with so many people, just a myriad of illnesses and chronic conditions and situations and symptoms. And she's just so good at explaining everything. So I'm super thrilled that she decided to agree to this. Kira, tell us a little bit more about you from your perspective, and then we'll get started here.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Now you're making me nervous. I'm like, do I really know that much? What if I can't?
Yeah, you just have to be you. Just be you. We're good.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, let me just give you a little background. Former middle school English teacher of all things, but dealt with chronic digestive issues well into my 20s, was not getting any answers in the conventional medical field. And someone spoke to me about nutrition, as funny as it sounds. It was a trainer at a gym. I was like, well, maybe I'll just try changing my diet a little bit. I started to notice that I was feeling better. So I went back to get a degree in nutrition to help myself. And by the time I graduated, I realized I want to do this and help other people. So it's still teaching, just not middle school English. And then shortly after my son was born, my husband was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis and celiac, which was a really scary diagnosis. And docs told him, you're going to be on steroids, probably need to get on the liver transplant list just in case. And he never touched a steroid.
Wow.
We have monitored his enzymes every 6 months for the last 8 years now. So that's when we discovered functional medicine for him. And that's when I just dove in head first. So.
And now you have all kinds of credentials. I don't even know how to list all of them, but you are, didn't you just graduate something else new? I'm like, every time I turn around, you've got another credential.
I don't know. I just, like anytime I see something and like, ooh, that's calling to me, then I just do it.
But really what struck me from the moment I met you is how much you care about us feeling better, but also about us knowing your clients knowing what's really going on in the body so we don't fight against it but work with it, which I know that's what functional medicine is. But you really taught me a lot in that. Stop looking at the symptoms, stop looking at traditional avenues, and start listening to your body and talking to your body. Okay, so we'll go ahead and dive in because we have so much. I tried to narrow it down for this one. I really hope you like this and you decide to come back because there's so many myths out there, and us as health coaches, we're inundated with them. Either our clients are bringing them, and we already know they're myths, but there could be some things that we ourselves believe in or have just adopted as a idea that it works or whatever. I'm hoping you're going to bust myths today for us to help people, but also inside of our own limitations and our own mindsets that we've picked up along the way.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the first one. I love reading everything that you write about this, but talk to us about food elimination plans. When people are told can't touch that ever again, or you're allergic to that, don't ever touch that. Can you explain not only if those are good for us and why not, or why, and what can we do then to deal with all the allergies and sensitivities? What's actually going on?
Okay. I love this topic because most people think, being trained as a nutritionist, I'm like, yes, let's do food sensitivity panels and elimination diets. And I'm actually not a huge fan. That being said, let me just start with food elimination. I do think that a 4-week elimination diet can be very solid for most people, depending on what they're dealing with, obviously depending on their history. If someone's coming to us with, disordered eating habits over the years, probably not going to be a great idea. But telling someone, hey, maybe we should cut out gluten, dairy, corn, soy, eggs for 4 weeks, see if they feel any better and slowly reintroduce, I think that's great.
Okay.
But I think a lot of the problems I see, and this even happens in the functional medicine space, is people will suggest it and then, hey, I'll see you back in 3 months. Okay, but when are they supposed to reintroduce the foods? What does that look like? What are they even looking for? Because so many people will stay on an elimination diet for a long period of time and actually develop more symptoms just because then their immune system is like, what the heck is this thing you're trying to give me? And then the body is not familiar with that food. And then we're developing nutrient deficiencies on top of that. So that's one. I think, like I said, 4 weeks is kind of where I draw the line. And there's so many things I could say about this. So
I
then
know it's a deep one.
it is a deep one. I'm going to cut that one there, but then I also want to talk about what about the food allergies and sensitivities and intolerances. So let's say someone comes to you and says, I can't have gluten. Well, that might be the case. I mean, my husband has celiac. He can't have gluten. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You know if you're going to react to something too, but I think there's also a line of, okay, so this practitioner put me on a low FODMAPs diet because I have IBS and it's been 3 years and I'm still having symptoms. Okay, well, how do you know that an apple is even causing you an issue? So people need to be on a diverse diet as much as possible. We should be helping them get to that point. And that's where I could probably rant for hours about food sensitivity tests, which I don't like.
I don't either.
They cause more stress. I can't tell you how many people have come to me over the years who have been following this plan for years on end. I'm like, wait, you haven't had avocados and broccoli and celery because a food sensitivity test from 2017 told you you had a mild issue? Did you
Right.
react to those things? And a lot
Right.
of times they're like, no, but I thought it was causing harm. And now I'm trying to eat it and it's giving me issues. Well, yeah, you haven't had it in years. Your immune system has no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, those tests, a lot of them are not accurate. You could run a panel and you could use a different lab and get totally different results. You could run a panel, run it again next week and run it again the week after and have different results. The
Yeah.
immune system is always changing. Like that's not a bad thing. I don't know why we're so scared of like, oh my gosh, the immune system's reacting to that. IgG responses are normal. Our immune system is shifting, kind of like our hormones are shifting by the minute. Some level of reactivity is normal. It doesn't mean that it's a harmful food for you. So for me, I always go back to, can we diversify someone's diet to help shift the microbiome in a favorable way, right? As many
Yes.
different foods and colors as possible and get you off of this feeling that foods are bad.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to promote artificial stuff. Like I had a client that messaged me this morning and she's like, I'm drinking this Herbalife tea and it has sucralose. I'm like, okay, that's a solid no from me. No artificial sweeteners, cut
Real
those out.
foods here.
Yeah, go with the whole foods. But like she was also someone that was put on a low FODMAPs diet and is paranoid of eating any of those foods. I'm like, okay, I would be more inclined to reintroduce those and skip the sucralose. But
Yes.
that's where the mentality gets us of somebody put me on that and told me that that's harmful, but you haven't learned to listen to your body.
Right. And what happens in the long term when we end up, and we'll talk more about this a little bit later with the restrictive diet plan idea, but what happens in the long term with the insides of our body, you call it symbiosis, is that what you call it?
Yeah.
And when we're deprived of those very necessary minerals, nutrients, antioxidants, tell us like in a summary what actually can happen. I know that's hard to do, but is there harm from that? Is there harm from that? Do you see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, think about it. The food that we eat is the nourishment. So our body can produce some vitamins, right? It
Yeah.
can't produce any minerals. So if we're not consuming those on a daily basis to fuel our bodies, hormones are going to take a hit, digestion's going to take a hit, immune system, like every system in the body is ultimately going to take a hit.
Okay, say that powerful statement again because I actually did not know that, and I've written a whole guide on minerals. I can't believe you just said that. We don't produce, I mean, I did know it, but to summarize it like that is so powerful. We do not produce minerals.
Yeah, we don't.
But you
Our
said
body
we do produce,
we do produce some vitamins.
oh, wow.
We can make
Like
vitamin
D?
D,
Yeah,
but we can't make minerals. We have to
we
consume
have to
them.
get them. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so in other words, then you're not a big fan. So what do you do with your clients then to help them figure out what they're trying to figure out on those food elimination tests or those food allergy tests? What kind of alternative testing? And that this is where you really went with my brain when we started working together. Um, what do you use? And tell us just a little bit about that and why.
Yeah. I mean, I don't use food sensitivity tests. If someone
Okay.
comes to me with one, we're going to talk through it and start to reintroduce at their comfort level to get them to a varied diet again. Now, in terms of general testing that I use, I mean, I'm always looking at basic blood panels. You know, I have
Yeah.
people go to your doctor, get your basic blood work. Let's look at optimal levels. I am huge with HTMA, which is hair tissue mineral analysis. Love this one. Every client gets it. Um, Minerals are not great to look at in blood work just because blood is pretty stagnant. When we're doing a mineral test, we're getting hair at the scalp, dead soft tissue, about 3 to 4 months of data. I find them to be very accurate because I'm retesting clients. And so every 4, 5, 6 months, somewhere in there, we can see movement, we can see shifts. And by looking at minerals, we're looking at so many things. Like we are looking at absorption levels. If cobalt is low, for instance, we can see somebody's magnesium, potassium.
Yeah.
We can also start to see, like looking at the ratios, how are your adrenals? How's your thyroid? Now it's not enough. Like I don't use it as a diagnostic tool. And I tell clients like, hey, if your thyroid issue or your thyroid ratio is really wonky, you need a thyroid panel. Same
Right.
thing with blood sugar, but it's a great starting point for conversation and also around food of like, look, if you've been restricting foods or you've been following this, you know, elimination diet, or you read online that you can't have oxalates, that they're killing everyone and lectins are, you know, evil, then we can look at the mineral panel and see like, hey, you're super deficient in all these things. Here are foods that you can be focusing on and you need them for XYZ, and this is going to help your symptoms.
It's almost like the opposite of a food allergy test.
Yeah, kind of, because
There's
I'm like, here's all the things you need versus here's what you don't
some
need.
avocado in there.
Yeah.
And so I love how you said you do work with the traditional panel, blood panel, but you are looking at optimal levels. I love that you noted that. I caught that.
Mhm.
Super important because a lot of times, at least in my experience with myself and clients, medical doctors are not looking at optimal. They're looking at just what their chart, which can be different from my
Just
doc in
looking at a
Arizona, can
reference
be
range.
completely different from your doc in Texas. Yeah. Um, but we know to look for optimal. How can a health coach, not that we become blood test, I always tell my coaches this, we're not trying to become blood test, analysis people here, but we can get a general idea of what optimal levels are on those standard blood tests to kind of help our clients out, why they're still symptomatic and still complaining, but yet their doc says they're okay. Because a lot of people go and you're fine. And we know they're not fine. That's why they're
Mhm.
seeing us. That's why they're seeing you. So how can we partner with that? What would you suggest? And I'm kind of surprising you with this. So if you are like, Bess, where'd this come from? It's totally fine. We can move on. But what did you do to learn what were optimal levels? I know what I did, but I want to know what you did.
Yeah, I mean, part of it was functional medicine training, and I did. I went back and I took a full lab course
Oh,
by
okay. Okay.
Michael McAvoy. Sorry, no, Michael Rutherford. So by the way, if anyone's looking, it's a good one that's geared towards like nutritionists and health coaches.
Okay.
Um, because I wanted more knowledge for me.
Okay. And
But Google, I mean,
I've done,
Google.
yeah, I was going to say, I've done it with Google, with following the right kind of experts, like, very specific
Mhm.
experts for each category of testing. Okay. So we'll move on then. So, and I got to look at the time because I knew we were going to go fast today because you're just going to keep just dropping this good stuff. So, with restrictive diet plans, we talked about food elimination, but now I want to talk about all the popular, trendy myth stuff going on out there. You're healthier if you're a carnivore. No, you should be a vegan. No, don't ever touch grains. That's why we all have bellies. Like all the conflicting information out there on extreme or restrictive diet plans. Please give us the down low on why you do or do not, and it doesn't sound like you encourage those.
I don't. Um, and now there might be research to tell me otherwise, but I also think that there's research supporting everything. There's research after like Gundry and his lectin, right? Like he found research to support it and he wrote the book, but then we've
Yeah.
got research now for this and for that. So there's research supporting everything. I view it as, and I'm a Christian and I know you are, I don't believe that food was put on the planet for us that's harmful. Like, I don't believe that plants
Right.
are inherently here to attack us. And that's my belief.
Right.
And I tell my clients too, like, I'm going to focus on food that's found in, in nature. If you can hunt it, fish it, forage it, whatever, grow it in your backyard, I don't view it as bad. Now, if someone comes to me, and I've had that, hey, I can't do oxalates. Okay, maybe you really can. If we have a history of kidney stones or your oxalate markers are off the chart on an organic acids test, don't get me wrong. There's a time where I'm like, okay, oxalates are probably not serving you right now, but why is that? And I think that's the
Get to the
problem.
bottom of it.
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot of these diets, even carnivore right now. Like, oh my gosh, this is so great for gut health and inflammation. Okay, it might be. It's also going to shift the microbiome. I would love to see long-term studies on this if we're not getting any fiber in, but it's not addressing why are you having issues? If you're having issues with oxalates and salicylates and any type of fiber, that tells me there's still something underlying. It doesn't mean that you need to avoid the foods forever. It means you need to keep digging to find that problem or the roots of the problem. Then you can introduce the foods.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So so in other words, you don't encourage your clients to go on them. What do you do when they come to you already having done them or in the middle of doing them? Are you educating them on their insides and
I
letting them?
I am. And so here's the thing. This is where every client is very different. So I had someone come to me with chronic Lyme disease, fibromyalgia, like she just had been through the gamut. Every diagnosis had been kind of thrown her way, and she was very reactive. She's the first and the only I've ever suggested, let's try 3 weeks of carnivore. And we did. We did 3 weeks of carnivore. She did really well, reintroduced stuff and did great. But it was very short term and it was very strategic just because she was reacting to everything.
Right.
I have another client right now who, no joke, has come to me. He's eating six foods, because he's developed all these digestive issues and I hate to say it, his mind was getting in the way. He would eat something and feel like a little heartburn and freak out and think this is killing me. So he'd stop eating that. And then he'd eat something else and he would feel like, well, my stools are a little bit loose. That's probably not good for me. And I'm like, okay, you've created this dynamic.
Yes.
You find
Yeah.
food to be unsafe, and that's not the case. You feel unsafe right now, but the food itself is not harmful. So we're just very strategically
Yeah.
reintroducing things like, I'm talking teaspoon, tablespoon of things at a time. Show your body that it's okay. It's a threshold experience, and then we're going to build from there.
Yeah.
So it's meeting them where they're at and where they feel comfortable.
And you just perfectly segued us because this is not, we're not just doing work, black and white work where we're bringing food, help and walking with people as they change things and change their habits. We're helping them reframe their own mindset around this stuff. And
Yeah.
it's okay that we're doing that. That's part of our job. So talk to me about that. I know that you, just like I do, we, in this whole community, we embrace that we are holistic beings that need to go at this in a holistic way. It can't be separated out anymore. I know we did that kind of culturally for a while. So that is one of the big myths out there. This is just a weight loss problem. This is just in your head. No, it's just in your body. It's not in your head. Like, talk to us about that. And just kind of how strongly do we as coaches need to pay attention to the mind soul portion of the people that we work with for them?
So this one's near and dear to my heart because for a long time, it was all clinical for me. I'm studying functional medicine. I'm learning about labs. Like, I was just looking at physiology essentially. And then I realized even in my journey, like, gosh, what made the biggest shifts? It was the mindset piece. And so that's my starting point with all clients. Like, I am asking them, what's your mindset around health? What are your beliefs? Do you believe that your body's capable of healing, or are we fighting an uphill battle and we need to just spend more time talking about that? What are your beliefs about food? What did you grow up believing around food and around health? Um, what do your daily habits look like? What do people tell you about? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
mindset to me is everything.
it is.
Yeah, I spend a large chunk of time on that. And I think my clients get annoyed at times
Because they're
because
like,
they're
we're here
like,
for a diet change.
yeah,
Yeah.
just give me a meal plan. I'm like, I'm not going to give you a meal plan. Like, I see what you're doing over here and we need to talk about that. So why are you texting
I
me
will
every
talk about a
30
meal
minutes?
plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Okay, and what this one might take a little while, and that's okay. What is your stand on supplements? Are they great? Are they a tool? Should we be partnering with them? Where do you see them being helpful? And then hopefully we'll be able to have time to stick in like your top 3 to 5 that you find yourself regularly having people try.
Oh, yeah. I think that they are good, but they are very overused. Again, I will call myself out. I was there, run labs or look at labs and make suggestions of supplements. Granted, I was still talking food and lifestyle, but more so now I'm focused on them. I tell people that supplements are supplemental. There are so many that are overdoing it, especially in the functional medicine space of just run labs, here's your 20 supplements. Okay, the body can only process so much at a time. And then from that mindset or subconscious, what are you telling your body? That you need this to be okay? Because that shouldn't be the case. I do think supplements have a time and a place, right? Like we know magnesium. That's one that I probably use with every client because our soil is so depleted and it's hard to consume enough.
Yeah,
Sure, we'll go down that road. But there are people that are out there taking 15, 30 supplements a day of like, I need alpha lipoic acid. I need this. I read online that I should be taking curcumin, and
yeah,
it's too much. It's
it's
just too much.
overwhelming. Yeah.
It's overwhelming to the body. It's overwhelming to the nervous system. It's overwhelming to your wallet because they add
Yeah.
up really quick.
And they actually, I know from experience, they actually, you get on all those because I was so desperate when I was so sick. And you get on all of them believing, like Kira said about our mind earlier, that that's going to be the magic fix or that's going to be the thing. And then they actually change. My body changed because I was on so many, and a whole bunch of them no longer do anything for my body. I'm probably, I don't know what happened in there. I overloaded or something, but sick people are especially vulnerable to the idea that, oh my gosh, this might be the one that gets me out of bed or gets me where I can eat without pain or we get desperate. We do. So we're pretty vulnerable to that. So what would you tell us as health coaches? And we're not diagnostic, that's not our role. That's not in our scope of practice, but we do tend to be guides for people on when they feel lost about what to try next or what to do next. What should we be doing to do good by them in the supplement area?
I mean, do you guys do supplement reviews where you look at everything they're taking?
I do, and I
Okay.
teach that, but I
Okay.
don't know what
'Cause
the
I was going to say, I think that's big. I think first and foremost, like looking at everything they're taking and
especially their
talking
pharmaceuticals do.
that too.
Yeah.
And talking about quality because the supplement industry really isn't regulated. And I'm amazed at how many of our clients have no clue. They come to us on synthetic B vitamins. I'm like, okay, but I don't like, yeah, you're just peeing that out right now. Or
Oh, wow.
yeah, magnesium oxide. I'm like, that you're wasting your money. So learning, if you guys aren't familiar, learning what forms are typically better absorbed by the body, that can be a game changer for clients. Even talking to them about fish oils, like it should be third party tested. You want something that's molecularly distilled, like otherwise you could be just chugging some mercury.
Wow, this is all like you're dropping nuggets like fire, and I can't write it down. I'm gonna have to come back through this. um, Talk to us also. This one's highly controversial, I know, when you do talk about it on your social, and it's so fun sitting back and watching these debates because even you and I don't always fully agree on this one, but I want to hear from you on it. What's your take on vitamin D?
Oh.
Let's do it. Let's go there.
We'll go there. I think this is one that's overused because think about vitamin D and iron, right? You go to the doctor and vitamin D is low, iron's low. They're like, just take a supplement. I'm like, okay, but why is your vitamin D low? Why is
Right.
your iron low?
Right.
Why are we not asking these questions? We don't run albumin and suddenly supplement with that. Like, you know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense to me. Vitamin D, if we're talking specifically about that one, there's two forms. There's 25-OH and 125-hydroxy. We need to see both forms. The majority of the population, that one marker that most practitioners are running, the 25-OH, it's going to be low on, that or low in, because that one's looking at how much inflammation is in the body, how low
Right.
magnesium stores. Well, if they're coming to us sick, there's inflammation in the body and they're probably deficient in magnesium. So let's work on those two things. Run the other form of vitamin D, because just continuing to throw it at someone, what is it doing to magnesium levels? What's it doing to calcium? Everything is a synergist or an antagonist. They don't work in isolation. They're all
Wow.
working, with each other. So throwing vitamin D, and I say throwing, I've had people come to me on 10,000 IUs every day, and I'm like, the body only
50,000 from
needs
the
like
doctor.
800 IUs. So why are we taking so much?
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we're desperate again. We're
Yeah.
vulnerable. We're desperate.
Yeah.
We don't feel well. Okay. So what should we do instead, or what should we help our clients do instead?
Advocate for themselves. Hey, can you go back to your doctor? Will they run the other form? Probably not, but it's worth
So
asking.
ask to have both forms of
Yeah,
D.
ask for both forms. Check magnesium status then, ask about that. Or if someone is dead set on taking vitamin D, and I do have clients, and I'm like, that's fine, but let's talk through it. I don't want you on anything more than 1,000 IUs a day. You need
Okay.
K2 with it because that's a crucial cofactor. Okay, so don't do D3 on its own, and you need magnesium with it. If you want to do the three together, that's my negotiation.
Okay. So they want really good questions coming in on the chat too. So I might have to stop and do
Oh,
these
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
they're specific for this. So Alicia has a very good question. What about people of color? They are usually low in vitamin D. What should they be doing
And
if
it
we're
could
not?
be, yeah, it could be again that they really are low, especially if both forms are tested. And that's my thing. If I look at both forms and both are low, okay, I will still do the supplement, but then I'm making sure that they're getting K2, they're getting magnesium, but I'm still asking why. If
Yeah,
they're like,
you're still helping with it, but you're supplementing the supplement with magnesium and K2. So, guys, this is really, really important. I learned this from Kira, and it was a game changer for my own experience taking it. She's not against it here. She just wants to get to the bottom of it so that we don't supplement forever as if that's the solution. Is that what you're saying, Kira?
Yeah, because it's not. Why are you low in D? That's the question.
Yes.
Do you get outside? Do you get sun on your skin? Or are you slathering yourself in sunscreen? We can ask that as coaches.
Yes.
What was the other question? Do we need more, like, do you need more cod liver oil in your life? That could be potentially a way to get more D3.
Cod
Um,
liver oil, guys.
and then the other thing is, are you absorbing it? Because if you're low in
Right.
D and then we're looking at other markers, if you're not absorbing anything, you're not doing yourself any favors by continuing to supplement crazy amounts. Your levels are never going to go up. And this is what always cracks me up is people that are like, I've been taking 5,000, 10,000 IUs for the last year and mine went up by 1 point. I'm like, you don't see a problem there?
Yeah.
Why did it only go up by one?
Now mine jumped like 100 points in a year, so I'm not sure if that's bad or good now looking back. I'm gonna have to bring that to you at our next appointment. Okay, so the another question that's with this, what kind of magnesium are we recommending then? I know there's like 8 different kinds, right?
A lot. There's a lot. It depends. So I tell people glycinate's typically a good calming one. So that one's nice after dinner, pretty easily absorbed. Malate's another good
What was the
one.
first one you said?
Glycinate?
Mysolate?
Glycinate.
Glycinate.
Yeah,
Okay.
glycinate.
Oh, glycinate. Sorry, with a G. Sorry, guys. Okay. And then you said
Um,
malate.
Malate's a good one that can be more energizing. So
Okay.
that's usually like after breakfast. And this is where everyone's different. There, you might have someone that's like, no, glycinate wakes me up. Okay, swap it then.
Yeah.
Citrate's great for stimulating the bowels if someone's constipated.
But really, that's the only time that if from the research I was doing, that's the only time I should be taking my citrate, right?
That's typically the
I
only
was
time I use it if someone's dealing with constipation, and then I
okay.
tend to, so I might have them on glycinate and citrate. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and I was on citrate and wondering why I didn't have any more energy when we met. Okay,
Yeah.
so and then you got me on the melody. All right, guys. So what let me try to come back here and see if we can just keep moving or if these are super important for right now. There's so many good questions. I'm going to try to leave room for Q&A. We're not going to answer everything. What 3 things we should take together? She said D3, K2, and magnesium, but remember that's temporary while you're figuring out why the D3 is even low. Because remember,
And
the
there's
body knows how to make it.
It does. And that's the other thing too. Genetically, some people might have a higher need, and that's okay. But again, you don't need to be taking crazy amounts. You need to be testing and testing both forms and looking at that. Now, that is also where controversy lies, and I'll keep this brief of what are optimal levels, kind of like iron.
Uh-huh.
A
Teach us
lot of,
that.
well, that's a long one.
Okay. Well,
Brian
D at
Walsh.
least. The
Yeah,
D
and
at
I would
least.
say Brian Walsh, for those who are interested,
Okay.
take his master class on vitamin D because that blew my mind.
Okay. Brian
Um,
Walsh.
Brian Walsh, he's got a master class on D, but that's really what started shifting things for me.
Okay.
Um, and why I started looking at both forms of D and questioning why people were on such high amounts.
Okay.
Again, genetically, some people might need more, but most practitioners are just overdoing it and not realizing how this is calcifying things in the body.
Wow, guys, calcifying. That's not a good word. Okay,
No.
so on just let's give like an idea though to the coaches of normal versus optimal,
Oh, yeah.
okay, levels of D.
This
So
one's
the
controversial.
okay,
So
but that's why we're here. We're busting some
it is.
myths. We're being controversial.
Yeah.
You're bringing what you stand
And
for.
it's controversial because you're going to find conflicting even with the integrative and functional health space. Some will tell
Yeah.
you optimal D is 80 to 100, which I think is way too high. I'm looking for 20
Okay.
to 40, quite honestly.
On the standard D test that the doctors give, because
Yep.
I was super sick at 27
Uh-huh.
and I felt worlds better at 80,
And this
77
is
or
where
something.
everyone's different. But
Okay.
then were they looking at the I-25 or the
No,
100? Exactly.
no,
So that one might have
and
also
on
been,
magnesium. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
So
that's
so
controversial.
maybe not getting hung up on those numbers then. Do
No.
you go, so then if you don't get hung up on those numbers, are you going with how your client feels? Because that's
Yeah.
always how I'm going.
And that's the thing. Like when people ask me, then they're like, what are your numbers? If you guys really want to know, I don't think my D, like the last time I checked it was a 21. I don't know that I've ever seen my D
I
above
was
a
in bed
30.
at 21. How
But
are
here's
you doing this?
and I feel amazing.
Okay.
But here's the thing. My 125 hydroxy is in the 70s. So if I was just looking at that 25 OH, I would think, oh my gosh, I need to be supplementing. I need 5,000 IUs. No, my form was fine.
Okay. So give us an idea. Okay. Maybe I'm mixing up my 2 ranges
Yeah.
because I think you tested both my ranges, didn't you? I
I
can't remember
probably
now.
would have because
Yeah.
25 OH, if you just go to your
25
doctor for
OH.
vitamin D, that's what they're testing. Without a
Okay.
doubt, that is what they're testing.
But
You
I
need
was
to ask for the
77.
other one.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll learn more about this. Where can Lolita asked a really good question because we need to learn this on our own, but we need to know where to learn this, where we don't have to go invest hundreds in a course. So Lolita said, what is the best place platform to learn more about supplements so we can better serve our clients? Books, blogs that you respect.
Gosh, I'm trying to think even supplements because I'm still like I'm always learning.
Yeah,
Um,
mine is like pick it from here, pick it, Isabella
yeah,
Wentz has been helpful to me, but so has Dr.
she's
Axe in some
great.
things and not in others.
Exactly. I mean, there are definitely go-to people like Dr. Kara Fitzgerald.
Karen
She's
Fitzgerald.
amazing. I don't know how much she talks about supplements, but regardless, just follow her stuff because she's
Okay.
amazing. Um,
Okay.
on Instagram, like talking about supplements and stuff, the Michael Rutherford, I said I took his blood chemistry course. You don't have to take his course, just follow him on Instagram. He talks
Okay.
about supplements, he talks about labs. He would be a good one.
Okay.
Michael, Dr. Ruscio is great. I think it's Ruscio. He's somebody I get
Mark, you
his
said, or Mike or Mark? What'd you say?
Michael.
Oh, Michael. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a good one. I'm sure there are books. I don't have books. Well, do I have books about supplements? I don't think I have books about
Well,
supplements.
if that's not where you gathered what you gathered, that's, what I love about you, Kira, is you're not just here just repeating information that you read somewhere. You are here sharing from years and hundreds of clients. So
Yeah.
you are working with people on the daily. You are serving a whole audience also on social and all the places where you show up. You know what you're talking about because you're using it in your work and you're seeing them get better.
And I keep
So
learning. Like that's been
yeah,
the thing for me of like question everything. Like don't take everything I'm learning for face value. Even the
yeah.
D, like I started out supplementing everyone with D because I thought they needed it until I took that master class and I was like, ooh, we're not doing that again.
It's not that cut and dried. That's what I learned. I was like, oh man, and I had written a guide for the coaches and everything. So okay. Oh, did I run out of topics? I know I had another one that I actually asked you in message, but I didn't put it here on the outline. Will you touch on this very
What's coming?
big topic out here in our world? The lovely, lovely, what are they called? GP, whatever. Anyway,
GLP-1.
Ozempic, Wegovy. Ugh. Can you touch on those terrible, horrible things? Even though I know they're not terrible, horrible for everyone. I know that. But for weight loss, can you specifically touch on it for that?
Yeah, I have mixed thoughts, and I told you this in Messenger, and I think
I
you're gonna
know.
like, what?
I was like, what?
Yeah, I I am not 100% opposed. That being said, are they probably being overused and not appropriately? 100%. Peptides have been around forever. Like I use BPC 157 with my son. So there's different peptides. These have just gained a lot of traction because of the weight loss piece. I
Right.
do have problems with them. People are just being put on them and told, okay, good luck. Well, now we're suppressing appetites in, you know, insanely, is what I'll just say. The issue is there's a lot of muscle wasting that can happen and it
Mhm.
slows motility. So if someone is coming to me on one of those, I'm saying we need to speed up motility, right? I need to make sure that you're having at least once a day bowel movements. And then with where was I going with this?
Uh,
Oh, the muscle wasting.
yeah.
At least 90 grams of protein a day and lifting weights at least 3 days a week. And that's the problem is a lot of people aren't doing this. They're
Well,
just
because they're
allowing their appetite to be
shortcut.
suppressed,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's another shortcut weight loss method.
It
And
is.
so the whole idea is shortcut. It's not for them to get healthier from the inside out. It's not.
Yeah. And
So,
there are some, like there really are some that I think would benefit where they've tried so much to lose weight. They're insulin resistant or even type 2 diabetes at this point. Like we have research that it can help.
well, but that's who it's for, right? Those are
Yes.
the people it's for.
Yes, but we know people are like, I just want to lose 20 more pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not as freaked out by them as I am. I mean, the stuff I read on what they do inside the body, I was like, we should be a little freaked out about this.
I mean, do I think that more research could come out? Probably. I listened to a couple podcast episodes by Dr. Tina, who kind of changed my mind on it a little because initially I was like, nope, no way. Um, I don't agree with everything she says. Just, I mean, that's
Yeah,
everyone I read or follow.
it's normal.
But she had some solid points. And I liked how she brought in the muscle wasting and you need to be lifting weights and eating this much protein. Like, unfortunately for those people, you've got to force in food and a lot don't want to do that. And that's why I think it's done wrong. And that's why I think they're getting side effects because they're not monitoring labs. They're not doing any of that. They're
No,
just, hey, here's your drugs. Come back, we'll check your A1C and call it a day, but that's not what should be happening. These people need to be closely monitored and they're not.
No, I think it's a wild, wild west in that area of things, and I'm a little concerned about it. I'm also concerned about coming off of it. So people can't, it's not sustainable. It's not. It's too expensive and it shouldn't be something done long term. I mean, we're not even supposed to use Zantac more than 2 weeks, and people are on that for 3 to 5 years and sometimes longer, and incredible damage done from all that. So why are we talking about this like this is a long term solution? Like, and so when they do come off of it, yeah, exactly, follow the money. So that's my issue. My issue is what's going to happen when they come off of it? Well, we're already seeing what's happening. And the trend is not only the weight comes back, it comes back in force. And now they're really feeling stuck.
Yeah.
And they're sick. So they're
Yeah.
stuck and sick now.
Because now it's completely changed the microbiome. If you weren't monitoring
That's
those
my
things,
other
you weren't getting the
concern.
protein. Now we're impacting the immune system. Yeah. Like I said,
Any
I'm not
drug,
opposed to them
any
when
drug that's faking the body into thinking something it's not doing, instead of us working with it, like anything that's going to fake my body into something is not good for me. And I'm
yeah.
going to pay for that later. Okay, I will let my blood pressure come down now. Okay, so let me see here. Any other questions coming in here? I had a question ready to go for you next. It was really important too, but it's not on my paper. Oh, yes, you mentioned protein. I definitely want you to talk about protein as a chronically ill person. I don't like to say that about myself, but someone who struggles with chronic illness and an autoimmune. I did not realize how protein deficient I was because I read the wrong stuff before you. You have taught me so much about protein and it's changing my life. I had muscle wasting, non drug induced, from the illness itself or whatever infection I had back in 2017, 2018. And my legs wouldn't work. And I was in bed for a year and a half. This is way before I met you. And oh my gosh, it took so long to fix that and to come back. You know, it's a short fall down, but a really long climb back out when that happens. So I didn't know my absorption was at the root of my issues, not just that I wasn't getting enough protein. So I had two things. I wasn't absorbing anything and didn't know it. And I was not getting enough of the right things. So can you talk to us about how we can help our clients with absorption? Because every coach here can help, because I've helped so many people since you taught me this. And what kind of protein intake are we looking at? But we need to be partnering that with doing the right things for absorption. Otherwise, it almost goes to waste.
Yeah. Yeah. Protein's huge. I mean, it's the backbone of immunoglobulin. So I tell people just start with this, at least 25 grams of protein per meal, whether that's plant-based, animal, don't really care. And as we near perimenopause, if those are your ideal clients, that need goes up usually. But then this fun little thing happens as we get older and near perimenopause is our stomach acid decreases. So absorption goes down. So we're in a catch-22 because we need strong stomach acid, especially to break down protein. And so things that you guys teach, like eating hygiene, chewing until applesauce texture, being mindful at meals, that goes a long way. Just because that's when those digestive secretions come out to play, is at mealtime when we're in rest and digest. You can also do little things like apple cider vinegar before meals or digestive bitters before meals, assuming it's not giving them heartburn, or if they have heartburn, making it worse.
Right. How do you feel about aloe vera juice? I'm a big aloe vera juice proponent.
I recommend it for my GERD or heartburn
Yeah,
people, just because it can be very
because you
soothing
mentioned
and
heartburn.
intestinal lining.
Yeah, that's the first place I go when they've got heartburn or any kind of irritation issues. Okay, so 25 grams per meal. And this, I was shocked to hear
At
that's for
least,
us
at
women.
least.
Yeah, and I'm not in the gym building a body or anything, just trying to keep this one alive and stay out of that bed. Okay, so when you talk about bitters, can you explain a little further? Because for some here, they might not even, you touched on that, but they might not even know what you mean by that.
Yeah, so there are bitter herbs like dandelion, mustard, all the ones that no one really likes to eat, but those are great for bile flow and for digestion in general. So, I mean, sometimes people will like, I actually have a client who's like, I just eat a handful of dandelion greens before meals. I'm like, that works for you, go for it. Not happening for me. I like bitter herbs just in tincture form. You can find those pretty much anywhere if you just look up digestive bitters, but those can be great, like I said, just for bile flow and digestion in general.
Okay. And I actually found, I did do your bitters like you put me on, but I found that believe it or not, I know this is another supplement, but it really was a game changer for me. I actually needed, because of that H. pylori, I needed that pepsin, HCl enzymes. Can you talk a little bit about, because it's not just about bitters. I know that's your preference. I know your
It's
preference is not to
it's
add enzymes in.
there's a time and a place, and this is the thing.
Okay.
When I run stool testing is when I will adjust those things typically. So like someone with celiac, my husband, he needs enzymes regularly, like his
Yeah.
pancreas just isn't pumping them out appropriately. So that's fine. Now adding in HCl with like betaine,
Betaine. That's the one.
it can be good, but if there's H. pylori, it can backfire, which is why I'm always cautious with that. H.
Yeah, that was
pylori,
coming back from
yep, yeah.
attacking it. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's a catch-22 because if you've got
No.
H. pylori, you usually have low stomach acid, but we don't want to add fuel to the fire, so that's why I go with,
Right.
yeah.
So the GI map is, we didn't even touch on that earlier. That's my favorite tool of your alternative testing that you did with me. And I'm due for a new one with her, but and we're going to do that because it was a huge discovery of what was really going on in my body for the first time in this whole 7-8 year journey. So talk to us really quickly about that.
Yeah,
Now,
I love,
how is that accessible to coaches too? What would we
um,
do?
that's a good question. So I'm now using Rupa, and I know Rupa is allowing people to partner,
Oh,
excuse me,
good.
with them. Have you heard of Rupa?
No. So this is since you and I talked last time then, because you weren't sure how I could refer people.
You might want to look into it.
RUPA?
RUPA. So they've got a
Okay.
physician authorization program. So
Okay.
I I have an account directly with the labs, but my current business mentor was actually like, I wouldn't do it unless you're using your license. So, and I'm acting as a coach. So I'm going through Rupa under, their physician orders it, but I'm technically the one putting in the order.
Reading it. Okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So Rupa can be really good for that, but the GI map is a go-to also, and I'm not heavy on tests. I don't like to run thousands of dollars worth of tests. I think that that's also overdone, but I think the majority of my clients need a stool test. No
Yeah.
one's ever run them, before. You go to your doctor, maybe they're running OVA and seeing if you got some parasites, but that's not enough. What's going on with the pancreas? Is it pumping out enzymes? How's your body responding to the proteins and gluten? Like that can be informative. Looking at microbiome, like, we're talking weight loss here. I tell people instead of spending the money and going to get like Ozempic or whatever, which I don't know, there's like 200 something a month, get a stool test. If your Akkermansia levels are low and your short chain fatty acids, if we can improve those, you're going to start to lose weight, and it's probably a lot more healthy
Yeah.
in the long run. So there's markers in there that can give us a lot of insight of, oh gosh, this one's a histamine producer. That's why your allergies are so bad. Or
Yeah.
this one's creating more inflammation in the joints. So there's so much that can be learned about looking at what's going on in the gut.
Okay. So in the meantime, I send everybody to you. But if I, as
Mhm.
a coach, wanted to learn how to offer this additionally to clients, I would need to go through a course to learn how to read those, right?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you have any recommendations for that or?
Yeah, so believe it or not, Rupa actually ran a great boot camp. They run
Oh,
boot camps
nice.
like every couple of months where if you can't, so the nice thing is like they're like $350, which I thought was reasonable. It was like an 8-week boot camp and they sent me a free stool test. I'm like, okay, so basically it
Oh,
was,
wow.
yeah. And they do it for all different types of tests and things. So that's a good option. I also did, I mean, I did training in other places, but that one was
Yes.
a good one. I will also say Jade Eder, she's known as the gut health queen on Instagram.
Okay.
She runs Microbiome University. It's pricey,
Ooh,
but it's good.
okay.
And
These are
I
all
mean,
good recommendations.
even just following her on social media and
Yeah,
maybe even doing one
start
of her
learning from her.
master classes.
Yeah. In the meantime, though, guys, I send everybody to Kira, and I really encourage that because I know I can trust her with my friends and family. Like, and I've sent you some people, huh, Kira? They went to you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because we need help. So, in the meantime, she already knows how to do it. The GI map was game changing for me. That was the big turning point, huh, Kira? That was a big turning point for me because then she knew exactly what I needed as far as to start doing differently and start working on. Okay, guys, let me go ahead. We only have 10 minutes left. We've got to let Kira get off of here on time. I'm going to see if I can find any other good questions instead of me just asking mine so selfishly. Okay, so, what about candida with apple cider vinegar? What do you mean, Marion? Using apple cider vinegar to combat it? I would personally recommend black seed oil, but what do you say, Kira?
Um,
Black seed oil is a candida killer.
yeah, I love black seed oil. Like that's in my cabinet too. The tincture tastes delightful. Apple cider vinegar, I don't know if they're saying to kill it. I've read some stuff that people say that it's not good with candida. I've
Yeah,
not
that's
seen any literature to support that. My
oh,
thing
okay.
with candida always goes back to why. Again, if someone has systemic candida, is it just because they've been living off of carbs and sugar? Or are they dealing with dysbiosis or mold or something else? So I don't typically put people on a candida diet like you're going to find online, the 20 different options. I'm not concerned about those things because I'm digging into why do you have candida overgrowth? Don't eat the refined carbs and sugar, of course, but
well, I do too, but yeah, so we definitely cut back on all the simple carbs and as much added sugar and processed things, like ultra processed things that contribute to that, and work on their stress levels and that type of thing too. But I've just heard, there's so much controversy on that apple cider vinegar would feed the candida or aggravate. So I didn't know for sure. But I do black seed oil anyway for everything anyway. But
Me too.
yeah, love it. And castor oil.
Yeah.
But
I'm not concerned about apple cider vinegar, honestly, not at all.
Okay.
No.
Great,
Okay. Thank you, Marion. Okay.
I do have one other question quickly. For when you were talking about stool testing, you mentioned two things: short chain fatty acids, because I'm working with someone right now who's overweight and on an Ozempic and wants to get off. So the short chain fatty acids, and you said something else that if we checked for that within a stool test.
I probably said acromantia.
Yeah. Can you spell that?
It's AKK, and I'm a visual person, ERMANSIA. So it is a short chain fatty acid producer. There are a few that you can look at on a stool test, but Akkermansia, it only makes up 4% of the microbiome, but it's considered a keystone species, meaning that it plays a large role in our body. That one is critical for metabolic function.
Okay.
And I will say a lot of people are deficient. Best way to get that up is red polyphenols. So like one of the protocols I put my clients on is eat some red fruit every day. Like one type of red fruit, don't care what it is, get some red fruit in there.
Wow. Isn't it just so simple? It's just eat real fruit. Just eat real fruit.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marion. All right. I love Beth's question here. How can we stop spending money on practitioners who do the bare minimum and aren't helpful, and find someone who will and can get to the root issues and know what to do? In my experience, in my clients' experience, naturopaths, natural practitioners, sometimes they call themselves holistic practitioners. Kira, what is your answer to that?
Interview them. Like honestly, my clients, when they come to me, I do a 20-minute call and I say, like, I'm not trying to sell you. This is a collaborative approach. Like, you need to feel comfortable. If you talk to someone and your gut automatically is like, I don't know how I feel about this person, I would trust that. And I would interview them asking specific questions of like, what are your thoughts around supplements? Because that's going to be really insightful. If they're like, oh, well, yeah, I love supplements. Everyone gets the same protocol to start because there are a lot of holistic functional integrative practitioners
My first
that
one.
start everyone on the same supplement protocol, and it drives me insane. Here are the same 8 things that every person gets. So I would interview, I'd be asking about that. What are your thoughts on labs? Because some will say like, you know, we'll just play it by ear and see what labs are indicated. Others are like, I like to run organic acids and stool and food sensitivity, and there's $2,000. So
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
interviewing, because online it says functional, integrative, naturopath doesn't mean that they're going to align with you.
That's right. Read their stuff too. Like I read Kira's stuff first, and then I was like, oh, we're so aligned. And then did the interview, and I was like, oh, I can't wait. And then it was a fit. So I would say if they're posting, if they have a website, if read what their viewpoints are from what they're sharing. Make sure you're aligned. But I love that, Kira, that every time I hear from you, whether it's reading your stuff, this right here, everything about you comes from a place of, can we please dig deeper than right here? Can we go deeper? Are you willing to go deeper? All right, let's go. And guys, that's how she is as a practitioner. I highly recommend her. If you have anyone right now that's beyond our scope of practice, which many times I do, they don't all sign up, but I do send them all over your way. They need to run some of these alternative testing. Probably they need to interview Kira and see how she could potentially help them. I highly recommend her if they're beyond our scope of practice at this time. And then Kira, thank you so, so much. How can they get a hold of you if they are going to recommend someone to you, if they themselves want to follow you? How can we stay in touch with you?
My website,
Okay, what is it?
nourishedlifenutrition.com. I can type it in.
A nourished life nutrition.com.
And then I just started, this is fun. I had a decent Instagram following and I have stopped that account.
What?
And I started a new one, which has been a
good.
little bit scary, but I just threw that in the chat. It's kirawitham.nd on Instagram.
Okay.
So it's
I
new.
don't-
There's not a lot on there, but
Why can't we see your old stuff? I go back to some of your stuff.
My old account is still there. It's just
Oh,
Kira
okay.
Witham. Take off the ND. It's Kira Witham.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm
And
freaking out
I
here
don't
because I
know
go
if
back to your stuff sometimes.
it's there. And I
Okay.
know we had to get off, but I'm just letting you know that my next person canceled if you do have more questions. And I don't know if you need to hop off.
My God. Okay, we got so lucky, but we still won't keep you too long because I'm the one paying the bills. So I'm just kidding. Okay, so they can follow you there. I want to make sure everybody knows how to find you, and then we'll open it up for just a couple more questions. They can send people to you. You have openings right now, you told me.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes she doesn't, guys. Sometimes she's on a 4-month wait. Sometimes I'm like sending people and they're like, we couldn't see her for 2 months. So she is busy. Tell me this one. How do you balance your incredible care and efforts and all the things that you're doing to serve with because you have your health stuff. Your son has had a lot of challenges for such a young man, and your husband. How are you balancing that and your work?
I mean, during the day, I would say I'm very lucky in the sense that like my kiddo goes to school and my husband goes to work. So like I have hours in the day of like
Yeah.
client work, and I, strategically map out. But my work-life balance is very important to me. Like even during the day, like one of the things that I've added onto my plate and I realized I was lacking was I call them my self-care walks. I have wanted to get out and take a walk every day, and I just didn't have it in my schedule. And I realized I needed to shift the mindset and make the time. So it's on my calendar every day. I get a walk. So that's part of it. And then when I pick up kiddo, at the end of the day, that's it. It's family time for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I love that. I love that. Yeah, you're very blessed that he goes out of the house for that. Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't get anything done if he was here.
That's my life. Everyone's here. Okay, really quickly, Sharon had another question. What was the name of the second vitamin D test? She said 25 hydroxy was the first one.
25 hydroxy. Throwing that in the chat for you too.
Is one. I-25 hydroxy. And then what was the other one?
25OH is the one that they're usually running.
That's right. 25OH and then I-25 hydroxy. I'm writing this down too. Kira, is your group that I'm in that I learned so much from, is that also open to people who might want to learn there? Or are
Yeah,
you not doing that anymore?
it's open. So I've got a Facebook group called the Holistic Healing Space, and it's like 1,500 women, but no one was posting. I mean, just sharing the
Well,
frustrations of
because I'm a reading
entrepreneurs.
junkie. Yes, you're right. Like, yes, it was becoming a vent place. I see what
Well,
you mean.
it wasn't even event place. No one was posting. Like it was just
Oh,
me. And I'm like, okay, I'm just talking to myself at this point. So
but everything you say is like, I'm like, I need it.
yeah. Well, it's there, it's
Okay.
open. It's more like every so often I'm posting a recipe or a question, but I'm I'm more than happy to revive it if people come
If
in
there's a need.
engage. But there wasn't, sharing the entrepreneurial challenges. There wasn't any engagement. So
Wow. Okay. So they could go in though and see archived stuff because there's
oh
been
yeah.
some valuable conversations in there because your other ladies that are in there with you, they drop nuggets like you do. Like you guys
Yeah.
just make me feel smarter just being in the same room. Yeah, holistic healing space on
And it's
Facebook
a group. Yeah,
group.
it's a Facebook group. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, one more question. Well, I'll take one more. Am I skipping any big important ones, guys? I was hoping I got to them.
Okay, there's so many in the chat now.
Uh, oh, new ones? I'm not
Well,
seeing
I
new
don't
ones.
know. Maybe they
Oh,
got
okay.
answered.
Um, man, this is when I miss having my assistant. She would always keep me like, there's a question, there's a question. She was so sharp. Okay. Oh, can you address cooked or overcooked versus raw protein? What do you mean by raw protein?
Are we talking?
Who is that? Food for Life?
Hi, that's me. This is Angela.
Hey.
Hey, this has been great. So
Oh,
I'll
good.
say thank yous now. Like raw dairy, in terms of protein,
Oh,
raw milk, raw cheese. And then I have heard about the detriments of denaturing your proteins if you overcook them.
ah,
So
okay.
I'm interested to know Kira's thoughts on that. Thanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
good questions. I don't think that dairy is inherently inflammatory, like some say. Now, granted, it's the quality for me, so I'm just gonna say that. I tell people if you've been avoiding dairy, or even if you want to start eating it, I would prefer they start with raw because the enzymes are intact. It's usually easier to break down. So I am all for some raw milk, or raw cheese or whatever else you can get your hands on. So I think that is great. And then for the meat, you're onto something. So I think they're called AGEs. Now, what that stands for, advanced glycation, I don't know. There's too many terms running through my head. I know it's AGEs is the acronym, but
Terms.
overcooking meat or getting those charred marks, if you guys know what I'm talking about, like
Yeah.
you
The
cook
ones
your
I
meat
love.
and you get the grill marks, those produce more of the AGEs. Now I need to Google what the heck that even stands for because I don't remember. But those can actually be inflammatory and cancer
Yeah.
causing.
Right. I
I
did
tell
read that.
people, yeah, limit, like grill, by all means grill, but like marinate your food first
Low and
before you
slow,
grill it.
right?
Or if
Yeah.
you really are after those grill marks, don't do it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about eggs?
I love eggs. Have at it.
Well, some people,
Choline, guys, brain food.
yeah, no, I've
Eggs are
just heard some say, that even scrambled is not that they should be sunny side, that you shouldn't.
Oh, wow.
There's so many variations on that topic.
Okay.
Yeah, I have not even seen that about eggs. I mean, I'm a scrambled person over here, so
But also Kira and I are both, this is one thing we do agree on. We are food freedom people. And if this becomes about only cook this to that and don't do, I mean, yes, we need to know these things. We need to teach these things. But when it becomes about villainizing food or villainizing how we prepare food or villainize, like what's happening is so much food angst and we're creating eating disorders in the health community. I know that I get really passionate about this for a reason. It's because of how many people I've worked with to help them come back out of food fear. So forgive me if I'm too passionate about this. So I think there is a point to this knowledge. we add that to our toolbox for the people that it really applies to, it matters. But then if we get so caught up in these things of it, I mean, am I going off the rail here, Kira?
No, I'm with you, because that's the thing. Like, I dealt with orthorexia. When I started my health journey, I was paranoid of everything. And it was like, oh my gosh, we overdid this, or, you know, like everything would freak me out and it needed to be perfect. And then I realized like I was actually making myself worse. So no, like the AGEs, that's probably why I don't even remember what the acronym is, because I'm not bringing it up. Now, when I'm talking to clients and asking what they're eating, if someone would say like, oh, I grill my meats for lunch and dinner, okay, maybe we do need to talk about it, but it's not something I'm typically even bringing up because I'm not worried about it. Like, I'm grilling tonight. I probably haven't grilled in several months because it's been cold. I don't care if I get char marks tonight. It's going to be okay.
Right, because you're not doing that every night
Yep.
or every other night, or even with the eggs and the milk and the cheese. Like, if I think what happens too is in the American diet, we've overdone some of this stuff. So dairy isn't inherently bad, but we overeat it. We eat
Yeah.
so much dairy as Americans. And I found out why the
Quality.
cheese industry even happened here. And it was because they were throwing that part of the milk out and they realized they could make money on it. I mean, it was never about health. It was always about money. Anyway, I could go off on
Yeah.
that one.
Okay, no, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking that question. Guys, this has been amazing. You are all amazing for having been here and hearing us out. Kira, my gosh, please come back. I hope
Yeah.
you do. I won't put you on the spot, but I
It's
hope
fun.
you do.
No.
This has been amazing with you. We have learned so much. We appreciate you. And guys, look her up and follow her because I learn all the time from her. Thank you. Thank you, Kira. You're amazing.
Thank you guys. This was fun.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks so much. Absolutely amazing, life-changing info.
Have
Love
a
it.
good one.